said. Really tough to watch it happen and watch them go through that. And so that's unfortunate for those guys. Kenrick Pryor had his issue with the finger. So that's the one. It's one of those things where it's in a splint, so it's better to let it sit and not jam it on anything else for this week. So he'll likely be out this week. In terms of missing time, I think we're pretty clean other than that, with some guys that maybe are day-to-day stuff, but nothing significant. He started getting some individual this week.
Obviously, 11 penalties on Saturday, Zach, and after watching the film, any one area that you can focus on special teams?
I mean, 4 of them were on special teams. They're all pretty close. They're probably aggressively calling that right now. I know they had one too, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then, we had a 12-minute in the huddle. We had a legal procedure penalty. We had 2 false starts. We had a DPI that was kind of a bang-bang play there against their ones. So there was just some things that, yes, are very much in our control that we can clean up, and some other things that are maybe more preseason football-ish. But operationally, procedurally, 12-minute in the huddle, illegal procedure, getting lined up in a timely fashion to allow the quarterback to do his job, we have to be much better at that. Good. He just had some back tightness the other day. Yep. I do. Again, we'll just take it day to day and see how he feels today.
What do you think that Kirkland did outside?
I thought he did a good job. I mean, he's had minimal work out there, really. And so, to have to bump out there and play a game against their starters, I thought that he showed well, for a guy that's had minimal reps doing it, this training camp. And so that's good to see some of the flexibility that he can provide. Not this week. We'll see.
Back to Kirkland, is that what you want to see out of that second, third
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
Be versatile?
I thought you could just look at the group that started there at the offensive line. They gave us a chance against a really good group. Same with our D-line that started. They gave us a chance against a really good group. So, and you could say a lot more about other players too, but I think specifically just the big guys, they showed well, especially in the first half.
Would you put Ford in that category?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you look at the group as a whole, and they did some good things together.
What's been the biggest takeaway watching Taylor's this training year? How do you feel like is there something that really jumps out when you see how he's playing practice?
I mean, he looks as good as he's ever looked. He's running well, doing a good job with the detail of stuff, competing. We're obviously managing him, protecting him from himself. So today's a day he'll be down outside of individual, and tomorrow will be cranked up and ready to go. He's shown us everything we need to see from him to be ready. I mean, he's one of the best receivers, and so it makes our offense a lot better.
When it comes to the offense evolution, what do you learn? Like you have to see from camp. What do you learn about the new personnel you have and kind of the gear that can provide?
Yeah, I think we've got a good feel for tight ends and backs, or some of the new personnel we've got, where they fit in our system. I think has been really good. There's obviously ways that we've evolved the offense that will continue to evolve that I'm not going to speak in great detail about, but some areas that we feel like we've improved to give ourselves a real good chance, to continue to be more efficient, more explosive.
Zach, how much have you felt, your stage back, you've talked about enjoying the communication you're hearing on defense, but how much as you've gone through camp have you felt that communication on the defensive side?
It's way more challenging, as a play caller in offense. Just details in the run game. It's hard to just get that yardage because of the fits of everybody on the second level. So forget about the D-line, but just the fits from backers, safeties, corners makes it a lot more challenging. The receivers have to be on top of everything. I mean, we've had so many presentations, on our run game, just the details, because our defense is doing such a good job and playing at a high level and with anticipation and aggressiveness and physicality. That's been good, and I think it's shown up in the preseason games. The guys that have played, I think the run defense has been really good. They got a reverse for 16 yards, but beyond that, it was 4 yards there for a long time in the half that they had rushing, and so I think that's gone from top to bottom on our defense, has really shown up this training camp.
When you look at the league, the growth of motion in recent years, how much more stress
Yeah, I think it's married up pretty well, offense and defense. I do. I think there is. It's hard for me to go back through the whole roster last year, but there is depth, there is versatility. I mean, those are two things you can say. Now some of the depth is unproven. Just because you've had a good training camp and shown some flashes in training camp doesn't mean it's always going to be there during the season. So you got to continue to prove yourself. Some of these young players I'm obviously talking about, but there is the potential for depth, and there is the potential for flexibility. Now you just have to be able to do it in this last preseason game, and then when your number's called in the regular season, show that you're worth those reps. And so, again, there's still opportunity out there. Nothing's decided. But I do think that there's potential for depth and there's potential for some flexibility if we want to look at it that way.
When you look at the quarterback competition, do you want to have a starting corner, or maybe could this be a situation where you have multiple guys, matchup specific, see what happens?
Yeah, I think however it shakes out, there's roles for people. And certainly you prefer to have one guy that's the starter. That doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. But there are opportunities for roles beyond that, whether a guy's the starter or not. I think it's two guys that are competing really well, and so that's about as far as I'll get into it right now. But two guys that are both showing good.
You still want a crucial practice for those guys?
I think it's all helpful. It's just the consistency, and it's good when you're playing against a different team that's showing you different things, routes off different splits, and not the same stuff you're seeing, for 14 straight training camp practices. So I think it's good to see how guys compete and adjust and are able to go from a bad play to the next play and see how they respond. And so we'll take into account. We don't have to make any decision on anything today, and so we'll use every opportunity we can. Yeah, I've already said everything I have to say on that.
What are your conversations like at this point in camp with Darren? Because obviously you're getting to the stage where you're starting to make decisions on players.
It's pretty much ongoing throughout training camp. There's no big conversation that's happening this week because it's the last week of training camp. We feel like we've been on the same page. He's always asked me questions about roles on offense or defense and how a guy's doing, and he watches too. He watches the tape. He watches at practice. So there isn't a major conversation. It might be tweaks that occur over the next couple of days, but we've been very much aligned with how we see the roster.
We talked to you last week, Zach. You said that starters, with the idea that they play for Thursday, was not all formulated.
Nothing I'll share yet. No. I'm going to let Jay finish his question. Not Jay. Mike finish his question.
The new kickoff rules, could those impact the type of player you might keep?
I think it factors in the conversation. I think it's always factored in the conversation this year with how it's going to – we've had to watch it and evolve our thinking a little bit with how it occurs. I don't know that there's this big sudden change in personnel, but it certainly makes you view things maybe a little bit differently. Go ahead, Dave.
Did you notice an improvement of gap control and not being moved out of gaps in the game as opposed to the scrimmage? Was pretty equal?
I think the footing in this scrimmage was a little more difficult for everybody. Offense, defense, corners, receivers. So it was a little harder to maybe get an evaluation there. I thought the game was good. I thought there was a lot of good things in the game, in terms of rush defense.
You think you have Jake Browning tomorrow?
No.
Any idea?
So Jake's injury is one in which the more time you give it, the better chance it has to not be a nagging injury. So he maybe could go tomorrow, but we're not going to go tomorrow and give him at least through this week and then kind of see where we're at and take it from there. But really it's just as simple as that. He probably could if this was significantly impactful to our season and we needed him. He would be there for that, but I don't see the payoff in having him do that.
It's similar to what T had last year. Did he take a shot tonight?
I don't think you'd say it's the same. I mean, it's the same general area, but I don't think it's the same injury. Again, you're not a doctor, but I don't think so. I could be wrong.
What do you think it is about Evan that makes him perform as well as he does?
He doesn't, to my eye, ride the wave. He's very calm, cool, collected in every environment. You feel a confidence about him. I think that's the best way to put it. If he misses, you don't feel like he's rattled, which I think is critical, whether it's practice or a game. I mean, I think And I don't know if anybody knows, but I mean, I think before we played the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game that we won, I think we had a day out here on the field where he went 1-9. The day before, 2 days before. I mean, it was nobody said anything. It was kind of like 10 Cup. It was like we all just kind of watched, and he just kept kicking, and then we all just kind of ignored it because it doesn't happen, never happens, never happened. Maybe he'd miss one in a practice. And then he goes out there and kicks the game winner like it was nothing, and nobody would have ever known. So he just got this aura about him where you got a ton of confidence in him, and never seems to have a bad day, never seems to be flustered by a moment, and you just always have that confidence in him. And my gut always tells me, hey, put him out there and he's going to make the kick. No, it wasn't, because it was just such an outlier day where, I mean, I got to go back and watch the tape now, but, I mean, nobody said a word. Everybody just pretended it wasn't happening. He just kept kicking over and over, and I think we were usually kicking maybe 6 kicks that day, and he probably went 9 or 10, and maybe I got the stats wrong, but that's how I remember it.
That's it. Like a graph that the regular record is at 68. What would the conditions be like for you to feel about putting out there to that 65 plus?
I mean, that really changes field position. So the situation's got to be perfect. I can't define a situation right now that would occur, but you never know. Maybe it pops up. Okay, thank you.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.